which is very, very important for any nation, any society, or any collective consensus. You talk about the Gandhian consensus, you talk about the Nehruvian consensus, you talk about the secular consensus, and then you have come to the fifth stage, which is the Modian consensus. And then you have talked about, when you were talking about Modian consensus here, you said that everybody will have to somehow or the other get connected with that consensus. It's a very, very fluid consensus. The meaning of the word consensus means that we all agree. And if not all, the majority agree. Now, there have been, in the last 150 years that you quoted, there have been revolutions in the world where there's been a forced consensus also. There have been situations where people like George Orwell wrote Animal Farm, where you had no option but to follow a particular thought. Those are friends of mine who have read George Orwell's Animal Farm, or for that matter, even in 1948 when he wrote the 1984, the world that he perceived based on the situation at that point of time, he talked about a world where you will follow a particular path, but you were forced to follow. We as a democracy, if today, most of us, forget about those who belong to the BJP or else, if there's a national consensus on a consensus, the best part is it is truly a democratic social fabric. Democracy is a strength, and it's a willingness to follow that consensus. And when that consensus becomes by itself a very, very important change. You talk about Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, you talk about Vivekananda. Much before that, there has been, in this Indian civilization and in this subcontinent and in this area, there have been civilizational renaissances. This Modian consensus, I think, is a renaissance by itself, which is rooted in the new idea of Bharat. And the idea of Bharat, the paradigm of the idea of Bharat, has evolved through a leader called Narendra Bhai Modi, but is rooted in the hearts and minds of the people of the nation. And it is the national consensus emerging from each individual's heart. Probably, if you look back, the Gandhian consensus was a consensus of the nation to find a path away from the colonial rule, but under the umbrella of the colonial, the author of the book Modian Consensus, The Discovery of Bharat, Shri Dinesh Malhotra ji, the General Secretary of the Press Club of India of Jammu, Shri Upinder Sharma, the Vice President, Public Relations Society of India, Jammu Chapter, Shri Zorawar Singh ji, the Vice President of the Press Club of Jammu, Professor Anil Samudra, the Regional Director of the ISP, and the galaxy of intellectuals, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. If I go on naming, I was telling Dinesh Malhotra ji, each one of them who are in this hall represent a section which is a prominent section of the society. So I'm grateful to the IMC and the Press Club of Jammu to be here in this August gathering of intellectually charged ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to read the book before coming here, but my friends Zorawar and Dinesh ji deprived me of the opportunity of getting hold of the book, despite my best efforts, and I didn't know how to read, so they seemed to get the book. So I had to do with what is very dangerous these days, to get to the Google and do some research, which is at times a very bad research, because the WhatsApp University is the most unreliable university, I think, in the academia. But I had no option but to rely on my search on the internet, because I was deprived of the privilege of holding the book in my hand. So if I go wrong somewhere, don't blame me. Probably the WhatsApp University has not rightly fed me with the right ideas. I would dwell on the consensus part, but I would call it a Modian conscientiousness. And when a political